Today, I want to talk about children that have anxiety in starting school. Raising great kids is a privilege and a responsibility. Sometimes our children can't see their own greatness. Sometimes we can't. Other times we can see their greatness but struggle to step up because of our own challenges. We will be discussing the brain science, tools, and techniques that help us raise great kids. Hi, I'm Cynthia Armstrong. I am a special education and general education teacher, and I homeschooled my children for 5 years. When I'm talking about the beginning of the school year, I have lots of experience between my own children and working with my students and family. And for some children, it's super exciting. They are so ready. It's like, see ya, and they kind of just walk away from their parents and right into school. And for others, it's this big deal, and there's a lot of in the younger grades, it can be crying and clinging and things like that, upset stomachs and headaches. And in older children, well, they can have the upset stomach and headaches too, but just that a lot of anxiety and fear. And so, what can we do to help our children? And you'll hear me say this a lot, but let's first look at ourselves as the parents. You know, sometimes the anxiety is things that we've taught the children. For some, it could be, I'm having trouble letting my child go to school. I get a lot of the satisfaction. I meet a lot of my needs by having my child with me and caring for my child. And now that I'm sending my child to school, it creates anxiety or fear or uncertainty in myself, and that feeds my child. Oh no, I feel this energy that there should be some anxiety and that I need to be with mom. And there can be a lot of this underlying stuff that we never talk about, or maybe not even recognize in ourselves. But I'm hoping that with this video, you might take a look and say, um, how do I feel about my child going to school? And, taking a look, do I feed that energy to my child? Because it's really hard to bring our children's anxiety down when we are growing that for them. And again, sometimes it's subconsciously. So please don't just automatically say, I don't do that. Really truly take a look. And sometimes we might not even feel anxiety or things ourselves. It can just be the conversations we have. Like, I wonder if we'll have masks in the school this year. It could be just a wondering question or statement that you're not even having with your child, but maybe with the spouse or a friend that's over or something like that. But when your child hears that, that might then promote some anxiety. And it doesn't have to be about masks. It can be about, well, I hope he has a good teacher this year, or, oh man, we didn't get Miss So-and-so. I don't know who this teacher is, or whatever it is. So if it doesn't matter what the topic is, children take some of those things we say and add their own twist to it. They take our programs that we have and then apply them in their own way. And so really be cognizant of what you're saying and how you're saying it, even if it's not to your child, but just in your child's hearing. And yes, they have super hearing. So, and if you do wonder about, masks or teachers or things like that, try and then follow it up with, like, excitement. Okay, I didn't get this one teacher, and I've heard this teacher isn't so good, or I just don't know this teacher, right? You're going to follow that up with something like, well, I'm super excited to see how this year's going to go. I know that things aren't always what they seem. There's always more than we realize, and I'm super excited to see how this plays out. Or what skills we're going to develop this year because things aren't just perfect and smooth. Or follow it up with some kind of growth mindset, looking with excitement to the future. Because it doesn't matter what bumps in the road we have, it's all a learning experience. And so that's what we want for our child. In younger children, sometimes they haven't separated from a parent before, or for very long, or in an unfamiliar place. And so please do take advantage of any back to school or coming early to just scout out the location. Things like that can help. Telling bedtime stories, right? Again, if they're looking to the future or know that they can handle the future, then that anxiety can just dissipate and go away. And so one thing I tell children, like when they're in my class and they're struggling and they're crying, because I do have the younger ones, so sometimes there's a lot of tears for a couple of the kiddos at the beginning because they haven't left their parents. And so I have them consider, oh my goodness, we're going to have so many adventures in school this year. And I bet you I hear from parents all the time, like, what did you do today? What did you learn today? Things like that. And I'm sure your mom is going to be so excited, or your grandma or your dad or whoever it is, right, is going to be so excited to hear about what adventures you had today. And so, and then I have them trying to look forward to that. But as a parent, you can do that same thing. Like, oh, I'm excited to hear what adventures you have today, or um, or tomorrow. Like you said, if we prep the brain the night before, it can really help the morning. And tell stories of when you went to school, some of the silly things you did, or your siblings, or things that you've heard, and you can make one up if you need to. Not about yourself, but you can just make one up about a fictional character, or a friend, right? And get them super excited for some of the things. But don't say everything's going to be rosy, that there's never a problem, there's never a child that might pester them or things. But just prepare them that it's something they're capable of, and that you are there to support them, and the teacher is there to support them. And when it comes to teachers, for my students, I've had all kinds, for not my students, sorry, for my own children. My daughter in the 3rd grade had a teacher who would lean over her and tell her she's too stupid to help. I don't know why. I did some homeschooling, right? For parts of times. Actually, we were moving. We just happened to be moving, and were able to go to another school and had a teacher that was much better. But that is, sorry, a topic for another time. But for that anxiety, again, have them looking forward to how many things. Are you going to tell me one thing about your adventure, or 3 things about your adventure? Have them getting to look. And in adventures, right, there's always like a challenge, and then the challenge is overcome. So you can even ask, I'm excited to hear about one thing you love, one thing that was a challenge, and one thing you learned. Or, get conversations going. When there's conversations with our children and we really are able to connect with them, and they feel how capable they are and how capable, and especially in those younger kids, it comes from the programs that we give them. And so kind of set that up in the beginning. Be familiar with the place, right? That's what we've talked about. Go ahead and visit if at all possible. Um, Prepare them with your own stories, with questions you might have. I'm really curious about these things. I'm excited to hear about it when you get back. And any prep that you can do in that nature really helps to bring that anxiety down. And with older children, they might say, well, I don't have friends, or, people might think I'm funny, or things like that. Is that really a school issue, like a going to school issue? That's definitely that internal issue, because there's plenty of kids that are able to go to school without those thoughts and those feelings. And so even though this comes up at school, as a school starting thing, it's something that is there and that we may have helped implant in them subconsciously, even. And so again, when we kind of have those conversations, that can begin to help. But that goes much deeper than just getting over the beginning of the school year. For some people, just starting something new will create that a little bit, but for others, this is an ongoing thing. So, reach out, and, I have a model that is so awesome that teaches kids, well, teenagers and adults, and then when adults have it, we can give it to our kids, right? Through, just like we're subconsciously giving them programs, we can then consciously give them the programs that will help them and benefit them. But do seek help, whether that's from me or from someone else, if it's a more in-depth, ingrained program that they're carrying around, that just might show up where we notice it at this time of the year. And so, school is quite an adventure. Going to work, right? It's an adventure for us. Sometimes we don't know what's going to happen at work. We might work for ourselves and have more control. We might work for others and get to deal with a lot of the same things that happen. But when children are okay within themselves, then those outside influences won't affect them. And part of that is like our unconditional love for them. When we have that unconditional love for them, that is what helps them to build that internal part. Because as adults, we're responsible for ourselves. But when we're infants and we're growing up, we're not able to have that. And so we do rely on other people. And we sometimes don't outgrow that relying on other people because we never quite learn how. And so just kind of be aware of those things. And there's some tips and some tools and some tricks to help make that a little smoother transition, or to look into if there's something deeper going on. And I will see you in another episode. Hi friends, Cynthia Armstrong here. Thanks for joining us today. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel so you can see when new videos come out, and like this one. It is such a responsibility and a challenge to raise great kids, and we are here to help you along that journey to make it as enjoyable and fun and fulfilling as possible. Please check out our website, www.raisinggreatkids.net, and I will leave that in the description below.